welcome to On the Waterfront. I'm your host, Melinda Moulton, and with me tonight is Suzanne Johnson, who is the Executive Director of Healing Winds Vermont. Suzanne, how are you?
Hi, Melinda. Great. Thank you very much for having me.
Well, thank you so much for being on my show. To all of my viewers out there, I just want to share my history with Suzanne. We met, boy, what, 15 years ago?
No, well, about 8 years ago.
8 years ago. Was it 8 years ago when you had your restaurant?
Yeah.
And Suzanne owned a restaurant, and the name of the restaurant was?
Tilly's Cafe.
Tilly's Cafe, where
Thai dishes.
Thai Dishes is now. It's Lower Church Street.
Exactly.
And you had the big aquarium.
Many.
And I came into your restaurant a lot to eat there because you were one of the first people in the county, or probably in Vermont, maybe New England, to have a restaurant that had a lot of gluten-free dishes.
Yes,
and I was gluten-free.
Yeah, most all of our food was gluten-free, which is a really nice change.
But that was pretty remarkable during that time.
Yeah.
To be that.
Most of it was a guessing game up until then. Magnolia's was also doing that at the same time with us, and then of course it kind of really grew from there. It was such a huge number of people that wanted to have
gluten-free food, and it was actually excellent food and good seafood stuff. So anyway, that was where you and I first met.
That's right.
And then we just hit it off, and we really enjoyed each other's company. And now, for the last couple of years, you were the founder.
Yes.
And are the executive of Healing Winds Vermont. So for my folks out there, if you'd like to visit the website, Healing Winds Vermont, healingwindsvt.org, healingwindsvt.org. Visit the website. But before we talk about your organization, I want to talk about you. I want to talk about where you hail from and what brought you to Vermont.
I like the word hail. There's all sorts of, nautical words to connect. I grew up in Greenwich, Connecticut, and I grew up on the water, sailing with my father and my parents all my life. I can't remember not sailing on Long Island Sound. And so pretty much all the way through college, and then I married and had children, and we moved up to Burlington, Vermont. My ex-husband worked at Burton. And so we landed up here. I have a history of Vermont ties from the southern Vermont with Stratton Mountain, where my father was very much a big person down there in terms of starting the mountain way back in 1961.
Dad was involved in starting Stratton?
Yes, he was.
No kidding.
Yeah, isn't that fun?
It's so cool. So you're also a skier?
Yes, very much so.
Sailing and skiing, they sort of go hand in hand, right?
That's right, yeah. So like a
How
small
interesting is that?
Isn't that cool?
Yes, very cool.
So Vermont has this little tie and heart that pulls to my heartstrings, and so coming up here and raising 2 children, I had a 3rd child here, and I've been here pretty much ever since. So it's been about 20 years or so. Wow. Yeah, isn't that neat?
So what did you do before the restaurant?
Oh boy, I'm like one of these serial entrepreneurs, and I've done quite a few different things. I've had my own yacht cleaning business. I was in real estate. I've been a real estate agent since 1987, and various different positions. I had 2 restaurants. Tilly's actually was my second.
What was your first?
I had a little small restaurant in Aspen, Colorado. Oh. And so, a little difference there. But so, I love being around people. I get energy from people. So I also worked in nonprofit with American Red Cross. Do you remember?
Yes, I do remember that. Yes, that's right. You ended up at the American Red Cross.
That's right, here locally, yeah,
yes.
as a major gifts officer. So I learned what the nonprofit world was like, because I've never done anything like that. It's always been for profit or my own company. So, yeah. So
you've had a very active and remarkable career doing a lot of different things and doing a lot of startups and putting your energy and your brilliance behind these things. Yeah. What was the inspiration for you to move into a nonprofit, to do the nonprofit work? I mean, because it's very selfless work.
It is. So, yeah. And so after Tilly's, I don't know how much you remember, and I think a lot of the public might remember seeing this with me, but after I sold Tilly's, I ended up getting cancer myself. I had breast cancer, and so I went through the whole gamut, chemo, radiation. I was on drugs up until just last year, lost all my hair, and so as I was coming out of that, I don't know if you remember me being bald. Do you
Yes, I
remember?
do. Yeah, I knew you then. We
we
had
had,
gotten together during that
couple
period. I
different times.
remember that, and it was a it was a battle, and
Yeah.
you won the battle.
Yeah,
You won the
yes,
battle.
I am.
So was that the reason why you sold Tilly's, or did you sell it just because
No, actually, I sold, and then I found the
And
lump
then you
afterwards.
found
Isn't
out.
that interesting?
Wow,
So,
that's amazing.
everybody talks about why cancer, why is this happening so much, and there's so many different reasons, I think. But one of them, which keeps coming up and across the nation, is the stress level. People are carrying a lot of stress and not realizing to what degree. So I found this lump, and I, went through the whole thing. And after coming out of my treatment, I was like, what do I want to do? I want to do something that I'm connecting with this amazing community here in Burlington, Vermont, in this whole area, and all the people I've met through the various different things I've done. And how can I make a difference? And I wanted to do something that was meaningful. I mean, a lot of people that go through cancer, and any kind of disease, really, it really kind of sets you back in terms of what's important. Really, really, Melinda, like what really matters. And you can drive the best car and have the best house and and you can't take any of this stuff with you. And in the end, right?
So you're good health.
So you're right. And so
You're good health.
What are you going to do that makes a difference? I was asking myself this. What can I do that at least makes a difference in one person's lives or several people's lives? And so, I started talking to Kathy Macbeth over at the hospital up here. And she
Who's
is
Kathy Macbeth at
is
the Vermont Medical
yeah,
Center?
yeah, exactly. She's a psychologist, and so she specializes in helping people come back to the workforce or back to wherever they were doing, right, after
Come
going
back
through it.
to their life.
Right, and gosh, you have all sorts of, I wouldn't say self-doubt, but just questions, like what matters, right? What do I want to do now? And now that I've done this and been here, been faced with mortality sooner than I thought I was going to be, and so she came to me after a couple of sessions that I think you should start a nonprofit because whatever you seem to touch blossoms. And I said, oh, that's so nice of you.
That's the Suzanne Johnson Midas touch, just saying.
It's a
Right?
so fun. It's a Snyder thing I get, right? It's one of these visionary, a lot like my father in some ways. But so she said, I think you should start a nonprofit. We used to take cancer patients out sailing on the Winds of Ireland, which the Irelands used to have the fleet of sailboats here, and they shut that down. She said, but that was kind of a little bit expensive to do, and I think you should start a nonprofit, and we'll help get people out on the boat, in terms of nominating them, and you should do it. You can teach people how to sail, and I thought, how great, this will be a great way to give back and make a difference.
And what was her reasoning about getting people out in a sailboat on the lake? What was the...
Yeah, I think so. She felt at the time the people that she was able to talk to afterwards, that they just couldn't stop talking about how wonderful it was to be out on the lake with their family and just forgetting about wherever they were in their process with
process of getting
cancers.
through cancer.
Right. And and sometimes it's not even getting through cancer; it's just dealing with
it. That's
because
right.
you never really don't know, right? And that's one thing that I love about sailing. It's a lot like cancer. You don't really know where the hell you're going because you have to kind of go where the wind goes, and it is really about stopping and being thankful for wherever you are with the people that you love to be with.
And a feeling of freedom.
Yes.
And how alive you feel when you sail. There's something that makes you feel so alive.
It is
to
right.
the natural world.
You're on the water.
So tell me what you did. So tell me how this. So that's the beginning. So what happened?
So that's a long story. That's too long to be.
Okay, but anyway, just tell us.
But anyway, I started. A boat was given to me for free by a gentleman's uncle who did not know I was thinking about starting this, and out of the blue, he literally had a month to live, and he just out of the blue said to me, "Do you want my boat?" Oh. And he's not even from here.
Amazing. He's not even from here.
Wasn't even from here.
He wanted to know if you wanted his boat, and he didn't even know about
Didn't even know anything about. And the first thing I said, is it a motorboat, or is it a sailboat? Because I kind of like sailboats a little bit better. I mean,
Yeah.
And he said, no, it's a sailboat. And I know you love to sail. And I said, well, that's just great. And tell me about the boat. And he told me about the boat. And this is a 30-foot day, and you can sleep 5 in an inboard engine. It's just perfect for this, right? And I said, well, this is just wonderful, but what would you like for this boat? And he held up his hands just like this, and he said, nothing. I'm not going to be here in another month. If you want it, it's yours. Come and get it. And so then I said, well, let me ask the family, because I'm just a girlfriend of the family, and so I asked the family, and they said, oh, no, we don't want the boat. Why do you want it? And I said, that's okay. I just want to know if you want it. So I called up Uncle Alan the next day, and I said, here's the deal. I would love to accept your vessel, bring her up to Lake Champlain. She was down in the Chesapeake, and start a nonprofit and carry on your legacy, and take people out just like yourself, and all cancers of all ages, and bring them out sailing with anybody they want to take with them. And I can't get you a write-off before you leave us, but know that this will happen. And he said, that's fantastic. And it was just very exciting. That's how it started. That was 2013 is when he gave me the boat, and that 2014 was our first season. So
talk to our viewers a little bit about how they can be involved in the organization. The website is healingwindsvt.org. And tell our viewers how they can get involved in your organization. And
well, Linda, it's a wonderful organization. There's lots of things people can do. You get on the website, you'll see there's 3 buttons right off the bat. You can nominate somebody, and I'll explain that in a minute. You can volunteer, of course, and donate. Our nonprofit is supported by individual donations. I would say about 88 to 89% of this nonprofit, and many, many nonprofits across the state. And
because this is free.
This is a free.
This is free.
Sale.
You don't pay to do this.
Sale. Yeah, and so people ask, well, how do you deal with that with insurance? We have insurance. It's just we are not a charter, so we're able to provide this service. So you go to the website and you can nominate somebody. So if you know of anybody who's just getting the word that they have cancer, or they're about to go through this, right? They're going to go through this journey. They would be perfect. Any cancer, any age.
Any cancer.
Isn't that amazing?
Any age.
And
healingwindsvt.org.
She's good. She's good. Any cancer, any age, anybody that's going through chemo or radiation or living with cancer. I think one thing I've learned so much here. There's so many people that live with cancer and have kind of a maintenance chemo that you would have absolutely no idea, really. So you can nominate yourself. If somebody going through this, you can nominate yourself, and you just fill out the little form right there, right electronically on our website, and
you hit send.
Yeah, hit send. That helps. Yeah, that's good. And anybody else can nominate anybody. So you could nominate somebody you've heard that this person, you may not know them that well, but you would like to kind of give this little gift, and you can either let them know that you want them to know it's you, or you can also nominate them anonymously. It's really hard to say fast, but
anonymously. So how many people a year are you taking out on your beautiful boat?
Well, we can carry on a new boat that was donated last summer.
Oh, this is a different boat.
Different boat. We now have a 39-foot O'Day, which is, we are now behind, we're at the boathouse, and we are on Dock A, right next to the Spirit, sort of in that area behind Echo. We can take up to 10 people at a time.
Outstanding.
And last summer, we went on 47 sails, so we took over 435 people out on Lake Champlain just last summer alone. And if you remember, we had kind of a rainy, kind of a funky beginning of the summer. But so far in the past, we just finished our 4th season. We've taken over 850 people out on Lake Champlain in just our 4 seasons of Burlington sailing season, which is kind of short.
The season is, how long is the season?
June 1st usually until October 1st if we're lucky. On either end, you never really know.
So what do you do during the off months? What do you?
Well, raising funds,
raising money,
raising awareness. We have people coming in from all over New England, not just Vermont, because there's nothing else like this anywhere else where you have your own private sail with 10 of your caregivers, friends, whatever, doctors, anybody, but it's truly your own time, or 3 hours of time to stop. And
Are you on that boat?
Oh yeah, often.
So you're often on the boat.
I'm often on the boat. We have 6 captains. We have 1 part-time paid captain, and the rest of them are either have their Coast Guard license or have had it or are working towards getting their license. And we have about 24 to 25 volunteer crew that we use. We have a rotating, basis. We train them offshore first and what it's like to be with people who are being challenged. Sometimes it's the end of your life. I mean, these people, some of these folks get on board, have weeks to live, and they're thrilled to be out there.
Tell me the story about what that one woman said to you.
So we have so many little stories that are just so heartwarming, I should say. I have one friend of mine who came out sailing and stage 4 cancer, and she just will constantly be living with this for the rest of this person's life. And got off the boat and turned to me and said, gave me a big hug and said, that was my cancer-free day. My cancer-free day. I was normal. I didn't think about my margins. I didn't think about what's going to happen next and what's going to happen after that, and what are the results going to be, and when do I go in my next treatment. She said I was completely normal and was able to eat, drink, and do whatever I wanted, and it was just so relieving to be able to be out there.
She forgot about her cancer for 3 hours.
That's right. And there's just something, and the great thing that sets us apart, I think, from not lots of other nonprofits, is that this is a nonprofit where we give this gift for the person going through it. What we call them the nominee. We never really call them patients, but nominee, and their caregivers as well, because so much of the focus is on the person dealing, which makes sense with the cancer, but everybody's affected around the entire family.
So if they have children or parents
and on that side, we've taken 2-year-olds out who are the nominees. We've all ages and all cancers. So it's just a really neat, unique experience to be able to just stop everybody to stop what they're doing and be out there and honor whoever it is that's asked you to be with them and to take that time.
So let's talk about that third button, because you have a volunteer button too,
yes,
right?
Do.
So you have the donate, and please, to all my viewers out there, if you support the work of Suzanne Johnson and healingwinsvt.org, please go online and make a donation. No donation is too small. You have the nominate button that you can push if you want to nominate someone or yourself to go out for a sail. And then there's the volunteer button. Let's talk about that.
Well, we have lots of things going on. There's just, people think, the boat's, put away, you have nothing to do all winter. And well, that's just the opposite. In fact, Melinda, I don't even know if I told you about this part, but we are starting to expand. And we've been asked by 10 different locations in the United States to open up a Healing Winds in their community. And so we are in the process of building our board a little bit stronger this winter, and we have opportunities for PR and just and exposure and letting people know that this service is out here, and including our own hospital, anywhere in Vermont and elsewhere.
So imagine this. So we have a call here, but I want to return back to that, to the regionalization and maybe even the nationalization of this incredible organization.
Absolutely.
Let's see who's with us. Good evening, and who's with us this evening?
Good evening. My name is Debbie Poulin.
Hi, Debbie. And what would you like to share with us tonight?
Well, I had the honor and the privilege of being nominated for a sail, and I just wanted to give those out there that are listening a little insight, especially if they're, and I know Susan touched on this a little bit, undergoing or just finishing treatments. I had just completed my 50th chemotherapy treatment before I boarded the Jubilee for my first sail, and I absolutely did not think that I would be seaworthy in my legs or my stomach. And once I boarded that boat and had that crew and Suzanne there for support, I knew right then and there that the challenges I'd been finding in the moments of this journey which is finding peace, comfort, joy, and freedom, was about to happen. And you've just got to keep this going. This is an incredible organization. And thank you, Suzanne, for starting it and coming so far. This trip, once you do it and you actually get off and walk away, you're not walking away from that sail. You're walking away with an experience you will never forget.
Thank you, Deb.
Deb, thank you so much for letting us know your experience, and we all wish you well.
Thank you very much,
you
and
so
I hope
much.
to be a volunteer next season.
Yes, you will. You will. You will. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you, Deb.
Thank you,
Thank
Deb.
you.
Okay.
Okay,
Bye.
well,
Yeah, she's
pretty
amazing.
special. So the potential for this organization to expand regionally is right there at your fingertips.
Absolutely.
And then to expand nationally. And this, would you see yourself as being sort of the home office of this and being the center of these satellite organizations
Exactly,
around the
Melinda.
country?
So
Maybe even around the world.
Well, yes, that's
Why
a whole
not?
nother
Yes,
conversation.
okay.
But yes, and so we do have the trademark for Healing Winds, and so our model is that this Healing Winds USA, which we also own that domain. This is going to be our headquarters here in Burlington, Vermont, and Vermont is the first chapter of the national organization, and the other chapters will follow suit. And it's a similar model to Make-A-Wish.
Okay.
So you have different locations, and you have boards of each location, but they're advisory boards, whereas the board here in Burlington, Vermont is the governing board. So it is very exciting, and it is wonderful to see people come and get off the boat, or even on the boat, turning to us and saying, "We just thought this was a sailboat ride." And we had no idea just how profound it is to be out here. And
probably people who've never been in a sailboat or never been out on the lake.
so many people who grew up here have never, ever looked back at Burlington on the other side of that breakwater. I mean, it is just astonishing to me. And growing up on the water, I can't imagine not being on the water. But it is wonderful to be able to give that gift of our beautiful, being a gift of just being out there and right there on this lake and be able to see beautiful sunsets on one direction and then turn around and see Camel's Hump and Mount Mansfield and
City of
Burlington, Vermont.
Burlington.
And yeah, so and it's wonderful to share the history of our lake and all its shipwrecks. And I can't even begin to explain how meaningful that is for us as captains and crew to watch the sheer joy of people, especially those who are really being challenged, to have smiles on their faces and crying and happy and excited and all these emotions that all come up in 3 hours of time. So it's really wonderful.
And the struggle that they're going through
Yes.
is just forgotten in that moment.
Yes. I'll share a quick little story,
I'd love
if I
to
may.
hear another story, yes.
I have two stories, one of which is a gentleman who was nominated through the hospital, and he did not have many friends and family, but he brought a few people out, and he had terminal cancer and was undergoing a lot of treatment. And he came out and he said, I was so excited to go sailing because I knew that I had, 14 days until I got to go sailing on Jubilee at the time. And every day I went in for my treatment, I was counting the days and the hours that I would be able to get on board. And that gave me so much strength to be able to sit down and get another infusion of chemo, and just knowing that I got to have that to look forward to. So that was a really nice nice gift. And the other little story I'd love to share is someone who brought her sister, a terminal hospice patient, out sailing with us and 10 of their family members. And it was about a couple months later, they called me and said, we want to share with you that, I'll just make a name there, that Jackie passed away this morning. And I was very, very sorry to hear that. And she said, and we are all sitting around her living room, and we're all talking about the wonderful gift that you all gave us and no other organization or other people gave to us, and that was memories that we will always have. We'll always have this memory of sailing with her and how much she enjoyed that, and that brings us such joy. And may we, in lieu of flowers, have all donations go back to Healing Winds Vermont. And I said, well, of course, and they thank you so very much. But they said, we want other families to experience this. And whatever we can do to help share that in our community and throughout the state of Vermont, or anything that we can do, please let us know, because this is very powerful. And so...
Well, I know that there's someone else out there who was going to call in, Tim.
Yeah, I don't know.
So
where
Tim,
is.
if you're out there, call us, please, at 862-3966. We want to hear your story. We only have about 4 more minutes to be on the show. So Tim, we'd love to hear from you. If you can call us at 862-3966. So tell me a little bit more about what you're up to.
So
What the beyond Healing Winds? What's
So
some of the other things that you're working on?
Well, I think the biggest thing is that, I've been in real estate, as you know, full time, and also running Healing Winds as well. And it just, with all of this renewed energy of wanting to make a bigger impact, I have made a decision to do this full time. And so that makes a big difference, because I think we really need to have full-time presence and take this to the next step and to the next level.
So for my viewers, it's healingwindsvt.org, but there must be a phone number that people can call as well if they want to call.
Here on there.
Here it is.
There you
All
go,
right.
Sail.
802-673-SAIL, which is 7245. If you want to call healingwindsvt.org, visit the website. And the way to get involved is you can donate, which we would love you all now to make a small donation or any size donation. Nothing's too small.
That's right.
To support this, because this is basically an 80-90% supported by private donations. The sale is free.
Yeah. And one thing I do want to mention, I think it's really important for people to understand, is that these vessels, there are several of them, and there are more waiting for us, are vessels that are donated to us. So these vessels are owned by the nonprofit itself, which means that products going to be in kind donated for the vessel. The boat, that we like this particular model better than using other people's vessels, because we want to make sure the sail is a controlled sail, that it's as safe as possible. So all of our boats are outfitted. We know everything about the boat from bow to stern. And it makes a big difference.
You don't want it to be a bumpy ride, or if you hit bad weather, and yeah, so that's really important. So donations are really important, because you also have to take care of the boat, and sailboats need to be cared for. Another way is to nominate yourself, all ages, all cancers, a loved one, a friend. You can do it anonymously, and you can also become a volunteer.
We can take people, we brought people all the way down to the boat with a wheelchair. We help them get up into the cockpit. And the nice thing is that they don't have to move, yet they're outside and they're moving, that's just so beautiful about being out there on the sailboat. And I think people who are close to family members that are at that point, you get it. And I think when you've been out sailing with us, you can see this. And it's just, I can't explain just the joy of these people who are finally outside again.
And the freedom.
And the freedom.
And the incredible health. Well, we have 30 seconds left. Tim, I'm sorry we didn't hear from you tonight, but we'll get Suzanne Johnson back on the show. And hopefully then maybe you'll even come on the show yourself. We can always have more people. Well, listen, I have 30 minutes to wish my viewers and to tell you how much I love you and what a great friend you've been. And to my viewers, I want to wish you all a happy holiday. To Suzanne Johnson in Healing Winds, Vermont, thank you for being on the show. And I will see you all next year, 2018.
Thank you.
Have a good holiday and good night.
Good night.